Welcome back, everybody, and let's talk about Hanukkah. Wait, what's going on?
I'm what's going on, and I want to talk about Christmas.
Hold up. Did you say Christmas? No, you meant Hanukkah, right?
I have a little dreidel, I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready...
Santa sent us to tell you, knock it off! We meant Christmas!
Not Christmas, Hanukkah!
Oh, dreidel I shall play, oh, dreidel, dreidel, dreidel.
No, the elves say Christmas! Christmas! Huh? Who's at the door? Is Santa expecting somebody? Hold on.
Hey, what are you doing?
No, what are you doing here?
I'm here to tell you to stay out of my videos.
Never! It's Christmas!
Oh, yeah? Surrender and stay out of my videos!
Never! Wait, what are you doing?
Come here, kitty. Don't run.
It was after that fateful night that we no longer wished each other a Merry Christmas or a Happy Hanukkah. The night Jules had her video hijacked, resulting in her tossing a evil Christmas kitty across Santa's workshop, would live in infamy and henceforth be known as the Hairball Night of Fury. However, this Christmas and Hanukkah rumble is why we now say Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas or Happy Hanukkah. So, Happy Holidays. You'll just have to guess which holiday that I'm referring to now. Now back to the actual video.
What better way to start off a video that could be so contentious called Holiday Wars than with a little humor? We don't have to be so serious all of the time. If we laughed a little bit more, took ourselves maybe a little less seriously, life could truly be amazing. And also, if there's anybody out there worried that I'm promoting harm to evil Christmas kitties, relax. I love cats and all animals in general. Okay, let's break down our battle strategy for Holiday Wars. This is what we're going to discuss. Number 1, why hate towards different holidays is harmful. Number 2, the non-religious aspect of Christmas and how it may or may not be beneficial to the nations. Number 3, the pre-Christian history versus current adaptations of Christmas. Is idolatry better if it's pagan versus Christian? Number 4, what Hanukkah and Christmas have in common, if anything. And number 5, why Hanukkah is unique and special. Now, let's get started. What you're looking at is a picture of my front yard. I used to put up Hanukkah signs, giant dreidels, menorahs. I even had a 6-foot polar bear holding a dreidel at one point. That was until someone slashed up my Hanukkah decorations. I don't know who did it, and to be honest with you, I'll never know. But the point is this: there is no reason to ever have so much hatred in your heart for another person's holiday that you would move to destroy it with your words or with your actions. It's just simply unnecessary. Hatred of any kind works just as a venom towards you. Yes, we could disagree theologically and stand our ground as to why we celebrate Hanukkah. But to hate, that's not balanced. It's not good, and it's not going to bring light to the world. Now let's talk about number 2, the non-religious aspect of Christmas. With atheism on the rise, more and more people are celebrating Christmas because it's part of their cultural traditions. They aren't really recognizing Yeshu's birth. Yes, there may be nativity scenes even at an atheist house, because that is still something cultural that some people integrate, but you're even seeing those becoming less frequent. Instead of me telling you about the non-religious aspects of Christmas, let me just show you, and then we'll figure out together if we think it's good for the nations or not.
I'm not crazy. It's Christmas Eve. It's the one night of the year when we all act a little nicer. We smile a little easier. We share a little more. For a couple of hours out of the whole year, We are the people that we always hoped we would be. It's a miracle. It's really a sort of a miracle.
I don't know about you, but I would take this version of humanity even if it's just once a year. When they're talking about being the person that they always hoped they would be, isn't that the entire purpose of religion? They're full of joy. They act a little nicer, smile a little easier, and that's a beautiful thing. I mean, but it's not just about how they feel. Look what else he talks about.
There are people that are having trouble making their miracle happen. There are people that don't have enough to eat. There are people that are cold. You can go out and say hello to these people. You can take an old blanket out of the closet and say, here. You can make them a sandwich and say, oh, by the way, here. I get it now. And if you give, then it can happen. Then the miracle can happen to you. It's not just the poor and the hungry. It's everybody who's got to have this miracle. And it can happen tonight for all of you. If you believe in this spirit thing, the miracle will happen, and then you'll want it to happen again tomorrow. You won't be one of these bastards who says Christmas is once a year and it's a fraud. It's not.
Okay, the clips I just showed you is Bill Murray playing in a modern-day adaptation of a book written by Charles Dickens called A Christmas Carol. Bill Murray plays the role of Ebenezer Scrooge, and in the modern-day adaptation, the movie is called Scrooged. Now, some of you might be wondering why I'm showing you any Christmas movie clips at all. The fact is that Christmas is idolatry, right? Well, sure it is. It's she-tooth, it's idolatry, and we'll get into that in a minute. But for now, I want to point something incredible out to you. What we hear Scrooge talk about is lifting others up and feeding the poor. More importantly, he realizes that when a human being is selfless and does random acts of kindness, it changes the person performing these kind deeds internally, which creates two miracles, one for the giver and one for the receiver. But how are there two miracles? If you noticed, he calls the actions such as making a sandwich for the hungry miracles, which is absolutely fascinating because the Ramban teaches that there are two types of miracles, which are the open and hidden miracles. You can find this in his commentary in Shemot, or Exodus in English, chapter 6, verse 2, and Shemot, chapter 13, verse 16. Here, let's look at just some of the commentary, and this is from Shemot 6:2, chapter 6, verse 2. He says, his deeds would neither add to him nor diminish from him. Rather, reward and punishment in this world, as mentioned in the entire scope of the Torah, are miracles, but they are hidden. So he's alluding to hidden miracles here, right? Then, if we go to Ramban's commentary in Shemot chapter 13, here's what it says. Through the great open miracles, one comes to admit the hidden miracles, which constitute the foundation of the whole Torah. But what does he mean by these hidden? And now he's stating that there's also open miracles. So I'll explain this simply. Open miracles seem to defy the scientific laws that explain our creation reality. This would include things like the parting of the Red Sea, which is why Ramban comments on open and hidden miracles in Exodus, in Shemot. A hidden miracle is when, on the surface, everything is operating without signs and wonders. It's a man making a sandwich for another man, and not someone snapping their fingers to draw down a table and create a giant feast from thin air in the middle of New York City, because that would be magic. And it's not God either performing an open miracle. When God performs an open miracle, again, that's like when the Red Sea parts. And in this case, it's when the Red Sea doesn't part, and instead we swim through it. That swimming, that persistence, the action, the deed, that's the hidden miracle. And where else do we see hidden miracles in Judaism? The hidden miracles are exactly what we see in the Hanukkah story through the victory of the Maccabees, and especially in the Purim story. From this perspective, there is a purity of heart in the movie scene I showed you. There is still the need for Hashem to be recognized. After all, we don't hear Scrooge mention God once. Yes, there is absolutely a need to recognize our Creator, but the realization of God will come in time. As hidden miracles happen, one's path is created, and all paths will lead back to Hashem eventually. Now, that's the positive aspect of a secular Christmas, but is there a negative one? Let's take a look.
Let's go.
He thinks you're Santa Claus. I am.
The consequences of tricking children into believing something they can't see. The irony of many Christians who tell their children that Santa Claus, the elves, reindeer, and the North Pole are all real is that it leads to atheism. Many children truly believe Santa Claus is real. They will make cookies in hopes that Santa Claus will eat it. They try to stay awake in hopes of hearing reindeer land on their roof. And they even write letters to Santa. The news media even plays into this narrative. Just look at the CBS News pretending to track Santa.
The man in red now making stops in Niagara Falls, Canada, and they're counting. So far, he's delivered more than 5 billion gifts. You can track Santa all night long at cbsnewyork.com.
Eventually, children grow up and discover that they were lied to for the sake of quote-unquote fun. Now, the older child, who no longer believes in the fairy tales their parents told them, begins to question what else their parents may have lied about. Naturally, they begin to wonder if God is folklore as well, no differently than Santa. It can also be very traumatic for children. Many little ones feel a genuine sadness and a crushing blow when they realize that some of their happiest childhood memories was based on tradition of make-believe presented as fact. With this said, many older children move forward into their teenage years already pushing God aside. The "if I can't see it, then it's not real" mentality now takes root. I'm going to show you how serious this is. There's a viral video clip going around recently of a sweet little boy who really believes he's in an elevator that's taking him to Santa's house. Watch his face. So they start off with him in this elevator, and you see these gears on the outside of the window, and it looks like he's going up, and it's eventually going to take him into the sky. Now listen to what he says.
Wow, look at this.
He says, "Wow, look at this." He really believes he's in the sky going to Santa's house. Now I'm going to fast forward a bit and listen to how he says Santa. It's absolutely heartbreaking.
Santa's house. Santa. Oh my.
Did you hear how he said Santa? He truly believes. However, he believes in something that isn't real. I would call this type of non-religious Christmas activity 100% idolatry and harmful. Because the bigger point here is, other than the fact that it is idolatry, is that a psychological framework is being introduced to that which is false. And this is going to lead to atheism. Heaven forbid this little boy becomes an atheist. But for many, it does unfortunately lead to atheism. Additionally, the story of Santa, his elves, and reindeer place a mask over the reality of open miracles. Now magic and God's open miracles become synonymous by mistake of the intellect. So in conclusion for number 2 on whether a secular Christmas is beneficial or harmful for the nations, well, Christmas seems to help grow hidden miracles in some cases. Open miracles appear to have been distorted and conceptually damaged. Who is Santa anyway, and why do the nations put so much work into this fairy tale? That brings us to point number 3. While there isn't enough time to go into all of the lore, rituals, and legends about pre-Christian Christmas, I'm going to at least provide you with a quick summary of a select few. The popular concept of Santa Claus originates from folklore traditions surrounding the 4th century Christian bishop, Saint Nicholas, the patron saint of children. Saint Nicholas became renowned for his reported generosity and secret gift-giving, which is why people give each other presents during Christmas. There's also an English version of Santa Claus called Father Christmas, but they're more regarded as the same person. Lastly, we've got Sinterklaas, who is a figurehead for the modern day Christian version of everything. He is a Greek bishop of Myra in present-day Turkey. He is depicted with the long white beard, and he's wearing the red that we commonly see with the Santa Claus that you guys know today. So with the religious connection that you have with Santa Claus and the fact that they're all connected kindly with children, they are basically a Christian version of what a Jew would call a Zodic. Now, I'm not saying, nor do I believe, that Santa Claus is a Zodic, heaven forbid, but I think the Christians view him like that. So basically, Santa is the Christian version of a Zodic in their mind, of course. We don't believe that. And they've attached themselves to this person. The problem is that they are connecting to their Zodic in an imaginary, magical way that's full of Avodah Zarah. Then there's a really demented version of things that kind of get inserted into the Santa narrative. His name is Krampus. So you guys have probably heard that, Santa's going to write down on his list if you're naughty or nice, right? Well, where do you think the naughty part comes from? That's Krampus. Every year in early December, children in Austria get ready for St. Nicholas to visit them. If they've been good, he'll reward them with presents and treats. But if they've been bad, they'll get a lot more than a lump of coal. They'll have to face Krampus. Krampus is half man, half goat, and he comes around every year to chase naughty children and maybe even drag them into hell. Who came up with this? What demented person was sitting late in their little, Austrian log cabin, in the dead of winter was like, I'm going to create Krampus. It's ridiculous, but that's another Christmas narrative. Now, there's more legends and lores, but our video focus isn't just on that alone or that really at all. We're talking about holiday wars, but those are relevant as to where this Santa came from that people falsely worship. So yes, there is a pagan and modern day Christian narrative to all of the lore. Now, in my opinion, I find it very odd that Christians today condemn other Christians for celebrating Christmas. The Jehovah's Witnesses, Hebrew Rooters, and Messianics seem to be the most notorious Christian groups who condemn other Christians. For idolatry, it's pure irony since it's basically idolaters lecturing idolaters. So when it comes to holiday wars, if you are a Hebrew rooter or a Messianic who doesn't think you're Christian, even though you are, because anybody who follows the person and teachings of Yeshu is a Christian, and you go around condemning other Christians because they aren't hijacking Jewish rituals and they have their own, and you think you're superior, maybe it's time for a slice of humble pie. Christian idolatry is not superior to pagan idolatry. Idolatry is, guess what? Idolatry. So you guys are all in that camp together. Just try and get along. So now that we've pointed out that it's basically all idol worship, what does Hanukkah and Christmas have in common, if anything at all? Let's dive into point number 4. Well, the two holidays have more differences than similarities, but the two most obvious similarities is they both partake in the display of lights and focus on the hidden miracles of our lives. Other than that, they are worlds apart. With that said, let's talk about our final point. Number 5, why Hanukkah is so unique and special. While there are the obvious things that make Hanukkah unique, there's the cultural aspect of certain foods we eat and the dreidel spinning. There's something very special I'd like to point out as well, though. There's an opinion from Rav Moshe Feinstein and others that state that when Mashiach comes, Hanukkah, along with Purim, will be the two holidays that we still actually observe. I find this absolutely fascinating, since the Ramban also states these two holidays are the hidden miracles in our lives that we discussed earlier. Now, here's something else that makes Hanukkah this year very unique and special. Hanukkah this year starts at sundown on December 25th. So while the Christmas, which only lasts a single day, comes to an end, our 8 crazy nights will just get started. We don't just decorate for 30 days with a single day of celebration. Oh no, we have 8 nights. It's going to be fun. It's going to be incredible. And I hope that everybody has the best Hanukkah that they've ever had this year. So happy Hanukkah. And if you have your neighbors who are celebrating Christmas, there's no need to start a war or even participate, because we're all focusing on those hidden miracles in our own unique and special way. Thanks for watching, everybody.